Welcome to CARICOMP Insider, where high-tech facial recognition meets real-world intelligence.
The U.S. government just committed $7.5 million to build facial recognition glasses for immigration agents. According to leaked budget documents first reported by journalist Ken Klippenstein, I.C.E. plans to put smart glasses on agents' faces by September 2027, glasses that can identify you in real time as an agent walks past you on the street. If you've ever walked through a public park, stood at a protest, or just waited for a bus, this story is about you. These aren't security cameras bolted to a building. They're worn on a person's face, pointed wherever that person looks. And they don't just scan faces. According to the leaked documents, the platform also uses gait analysis, meaning it can try to identify you by the way you walk. A DHS attorney warned that while the glasses are framed as immigration enforcement, the reality is that a push in this direction affects all Americans, particularly protesters. The Department of Homeland Security is building something that moves facial identification out of the office and onto the sidewalk. So what happens when the tool meant for one purpose gets aimed at everyone? To understand why this matters, you need to see the difference between two things that sound similar but work nothing alike. Right now, most facial identification in law enforcement works like this. An investigator uploads a photo from a crime scene, runs it against a database in a batch process, and then a trained analyst reviews the results before anyone acts. That's controlled comparison. There's a human in the loop at every step. Errors slow things down rather than speed them up. Evidence can be challenged in court. Now flip that sequence entirely. An agent wearing smart glasses looks at someone on the street and gets an instant match alert tied to a watch list. Identification drives the encounter. The human judgment call comes after the stop, not before it. That's a fundamentally different architecture. And it's the one I.C.E. is building toward. The NYPD, one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the country, has a facial recognition policy that says explicitly, a match does not by itself establish a basis for a stop or probable cause to arrest. That safeguard exists because the technology was designed for after-the-fact case review, where an analyst has time to think. Smart glasses remove that pause entirely. The match and the encounter happen in the same moment, on the same sidewalk. For investigators, that collapses the gap between identification and action that makes due process possible. For anyone walking down the street, it means a computer's guess about your identity could determine whether you get stopped before a human ever weighs in. And those guesses aren't equally reliable for everyone. A 2018 MIT study found that facial recognition systems misidentified dark-skinned women roughly 1 out of every 3 times. For lighter-skinned men, the error rate was under 1%. In a batch comparison workflow, that kind of error gets caught during review. In real-time field deployment, it becomes the reason someone gets detained on the spot. 1 out of 3. That's not a rounding error, that's a pattern built into the system itself. Supporters of the technology point out that facial recognition helps locate missing persons, identify suspects from video footage, and even clear people who've been wrongly accused. At border checkpoints and secure facilities, pre-screened databases can serve a real purpose. Those arguments aren't wrong, in controlled settings with human oversight. But the I.C.E. use case undercuts that defense. According to reporting from Futurism, many I.C.E. arrests over the past year have been circumstantial, targets often chosen at random, far from the targeted enforcement of known criminals the administration promised. Smart glasses make that kind of indiscriminate scanning easier to scale, not harder to abuse. For anyone who's ever been in a crowd, at a march, a concert, a school pickup line, the question isn't whether this technology can do good. It's whether anything in its design prevents it from doing harm. The legal frameworks governing identification were built around printed photographs and written notes, not automated systems that can scan a face and return a name before an agent finishes crossing the street. The law hasn't caught up. And according to the ACLU, real-time biometric tracking raises direct First Amendment concerns, because if people know they can be identified at a protest just by showing up, many of them won't show up at all. Most people lump all facial identification into one category, surveillance. But that conflation actually makes things worse. It lets real-time wearable scanning hide behind the legitimacy of controlled investigator-led comparison, and it makes every careful forensic tool look guilty by association. So the US government is spending $7.5 million to put real-time facial recognition on agents' glasses by 2027. The technology has known accuracy gaps that hit certain communities hardest. And the legal guardrails that exist today were never designed for a system this fast or this portable. Whether you investigate cases for a living, or you just walk past a federal building on your way to work, the distinction between a tool that helps solve crimes and a tool that watches crowds is one worth understanding. Because right now, that line is disappearing. The full story's in the description if you want the deep dive.
Now you know something most people in this industry don't. Use it. And when you're ready to put it to work, caracomp.com. We'll see you tomorrow.